Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Why, everyone, happy Friday, happy Valentine's Day, and happy birthday to my dog, Winter. She turns 2 today, all 100 pounds of her. Let's see where she's at right now. And she is literally behind the desk right now, sleeping. You'll probably hear her snoring at some point. She turns 2 today, so happy birthday, my dear. We have a great show today, but let's first start it off by doing a view count, shall we? Hit it, John. 233,561 views of this show since we started. We were at 100 January 1st, and we've had a tremendously successful 2025 so far, and it's all thanks to you, to amazing guests that we have, like we have today. And so now's a good time to just share the show. Just click the share button, especially if you're watching it live. Just do it now and spread the love and joy here on Make Your Day Richer. All right, let's start the show, shall we? Let's do it. Do you ever feel like you need a little inspiration boost? My first guest is here to provide just that. She's an author who inspires us with her stories of resilience, adventure, and finding your worth. She's ridden a tandem bike across America. She hosts the Online for Authors podcast. And today, right now, after the show, you can go buy her new book, 10 Little Rules for a Double-Butted Adventure, which is all about life lessons learned on that incredible journey across the country. Please welcome Teri M. Brown. Hello, Teri.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, thanks for being here. We have to start with the title of your new book.
Yes, of course.
10 Little Rules for a Double-Butted Adventure.
You can't even say double-butted without laughing. That's twice.
You can't. You can't. And it's not a kid's book.
No.
Tell everybody about the book.
Yeah, so the double-butted adventure, let me just kind of start there since that seems to be the elephant in the room. My husband and I rode across the United States from the coast of Oregon to Washington, D.C. on a tandem bicycle. So, yeah. And so when I was trying to come up with an idea, because I'm the author, and I wanted to write a blog the whole way, I decided that we were a double-butted adventure because 2 seats, 1 bike. And so that's where that comes. And then, the point of this adventure was, we had many things. My husband wanted to fulfill a lifelong dream, and I wanted to prove that I still could do something in my later years. And we wanted to raise money for Toys for Tots. And we did all of that. And I learned a lot about life. And that's where the 10 Little Rules comes from.
When did this happen? When did you do this?
In the summer of 2020, COVID summer.
I mean, that's not the roads were probably clear, so that's good.
Right. It was a little difficult at times because you'd think that there would be maybe a campground and then it wouldn't be open. There were things like that happened. But generally, I think we had a better summer of 2020 than most people.
Yes, I would
because
say so.
We were outside and we were riding and we were doing and we were achieving, and so many people were stuck at home, gaining weight. Right?
How many miles is that? Do you know?
We rode 3,102 miles. And I tell people that I don't round it off to 3,100 because I know which 2 miles those were.
Yes, probably yes. If it would have been, it probably would have been an easier ride. That's my guess.
Yes. Without those 2, right?
Yes. Whose idea was this? Your husband's?
So my husband he's an adventurer. He spent 25 years in the military. He ran marathons. He did triathlons. I mean, this is his thing. I am not that. I tell everyone I'm a desk jockey. I sit. And I do enjoy being outdoors, but it's more like, let's go walk on the beach and collect shells kind of thing versus, what he does. But since 1976, he has wanted to ride across the United States. A group of college kids did it. and he was in the Marines at the time, and it's not like he could just take 3 months off. And so it's been something that he wanted to do. We started dating. We've only been married for 5 years, and we started dating, and he brought this up to me, and I had been wanting to do a big adventure. And I thought, you know what, that would be an adventure, riding across the United States. And so we decided to do it on a tandem.
Was there ever, there had to have been, when he brings this up to you and he's like, Teri, I have an idea. Was there ever you're out of your mind?
Yes and no. Like, yes, it's definitely crazy. We can't do this. But on the other hand, like I said, I really wanted to do something big. I had been in an emotionally abusive relationship for 14 years. And when I got out of that, I felt really pushed down, and I didn't feel like I had a lot to offer people. And I felt like I needed to prove to everyone that I still had some value. Well, turns out I needed to prove that to me. That's who I really needed to prove it to. But I really wanted something big. And to me, it was like, well, yeah, riding across the United States, that seems big. So I kind of went into it thinking, well, sure, we'll do this. And it wasn't until we got started that I recognized, wow, this is really big. This is like really, really, really big. I mean, I knew it, but you don't know. To me, that's the definition of adventure, right? Is that you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. Because if you did, you wouldn't try it.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, so true. It's one thing to live that experience. What was it like to write about it and to kind of relive it?
There are so many times where I don't really believe that I did it. Like, I know I did it. I've got pictures, I've got my blog, I've got all the proof, and yet I can't quite make it happen in my mind. And I finally figured out it's because I rode one day at a time. And then all of those one days added up to across the United States. And so I think when I was writing about it, it has helped me really like assimilate that idea that I actually did ride all the way from Oregon to Washington, D.C. Like, I really rode that whole way. It's still a concept that just doesn't quite gel in my mind.
I was going to say, I would still wake up and like hit him and be like, can you believe we did that?
We do. Every now and then it's like, can you believe we really did that? We really did that. I mean, we rode over the Rocky Mountains on a tandem bicycle. That's nuts.
Did you fight at all during this time?
Yes. But
read
not
the book
much,
and
actually.
find out.
Yeah, but not much actually, because we realized very quickly that you can't ride a tandem bicycle angry. I mean, you can, but it's no fun.
Yeah.
And you also can't sleep in a tiny tent on a tiny little blow-up mattress angry. So we had only been married for a year at the point that we went out on this big trip. And we say that in those 3 months, we had 20 years of marriage. So in tandem time, we've been married 25 years, not 5. And we learned a lot about one another and how to fix our problems very quickly, because otherwise we were miserable. And who wants to do this and be miserable?
Yeah.
It was hard enough on its own without us creating our own problems. And so we learned very quickly to we fix it. If there's a problem, you identify it, you talk about it rationally, you fix it, you move on. And so, yes, we did twice. I can think of 2 that were big.
But it was probably those 2 miles too. That was it.
But we fixed it. It's like we learned. And I was like, okay, this is what we need to do. And so, yeah.
I think that's a great hashtag you should use, is in tandem time, because it's like what is it, like 9 lives, or like every 7 years in human is 7 for a dog, or whatever it is. That's perfect.
Right.
What can people expect to find in the book? What's the book like about?
I learned so many things about just life and living and people, and you have a lot of time on the back of a tandem bicycle. So I'm on the back, he's on the front. We pedal and you pedal and you pedal. We averaged 40 miles a day, some days more, some days less, but we had this average of like 42.4 miles a day. There's a lot of time to think and to contemplate and to recognize. And I did a lot of healing. And I just kind of came up with like, what kinds of things did I learn? Like I can do hard things, and Set aside your fear. And my biggest one is never quit on a bad day. There's these things that are life lessons that since coming home, I've used over and over and over. And the number of times that I have pulled from that trip and said, oh no, I can do this because of that thing that I learned while on this trip.
Wow.
And then
Would
in
you do it
addition to
again?
that, no.
No. You didn't even hesitate.
No. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm so glad I did it. I would never say, oh, I wish we had not done that trip. I have zero need to do it twice.
Uh-huh. Are you going to do something just as crazy? Have you ever talked about that?
We rode up the coast of Maine and spent a month riding up the coast of Maine and seeing lighthouses. So it was not quite the same. It was an easier trip. We didn't have a specific goal where we had to get to a certain place, anything like that. I don't want to ever do anything that's 3 months again, simply because I've got so many other things in life I enjoy doing. And when you're riding a bicycle across the United States, that is what you do. There isn't anything else. You don't get to play bridge. You don't get to hang out with your grandkids. You don't get to walk on the beach. You ride your bicycle. And like I said, it was wonderful. I'm so glad I did it. And I have zero need to do it twice.
Period.
Yep.
Yeah. You have other books available out there. You also host your own podcast about talking to authors.
Talking to authors, yeah.
Did you always want to be an author when you were growing up? Was that always a fascination for you?
As a kid, I used to say I wanted to be an author, but I also said I wanted to be an Olympic ice skater and a brain surgeon. And so I'm like terrified of blood and I'm not terribly athletic. And so, I don't know that I really knew that's what I wanted to be. Then ensuing life, I had children and things, and being an author just wasn't it. But it started really creeping up again when I was in that abusive relationship. And that wasn't a good time to write. But as soon as I got out of that relationship, the words started coming out of me. But I was afraid to put them out into people's hands. And after this trip, I realized on those last couple of miles, we're coming up on the goal. I realized I've made it all the way across the United States. And I thought, I can do anything. I just rode across the United States on a tandem bicycle. I can do anything. What do I want to do? And the answer was I want to be an author. And 14 months later, my first book was out.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
What a life. Tell everybody about the podcast.
Okay.
And when it comes out and how people can find it.
Okay, so it's online for authors. You can find it on YouTube and pretty much everywhere. Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, all of the places. It comes out every Tuesday, some Thursdays and some Saturdays, depending on how much I can get done in a week, right? I talk with indie authors like myself. So these are not the ones that you read about on the New York Times bestseller list, but I feel like there are so many unbelievably good books out there that we just don't ever get to hear about, because trying to find a platform as an author who doesn't yet have a platform is difficult. Once you break in, it's great, but getting to that point. And so I started reading these books and thinking how great they were. And I thought, well, I'm going to have a podcast. I love being a guest. Why don't I try being a host and have these authors on? And I've been doing it a year now, and I love it. And I'm reading unbelievably good books in a wide variety of genres. And I made a ton of new friends, lots of writing buddies. So,
yeah, that's why I started this show. I always said, Tom Cruise can make the worst movie ever, go on every show and make $1 gazillion. And there are people making such great art out there and they have nowhere to talk about it. And but they're doing it because they just love to do it. They're not in it for money's fun. We all
and I always tell people, hey, I'm not knocking the New York Times bestseller list. I'll take it. But the truth is that there are so many people out there who have unbelievably great books that aren't making any waves because they don't know how to get them to make waves. And so I love giving them a platform where at least we can get it out there to a few people.
Yeah. What do you hope people take away from the book?
I think what I want them to do in it, there's questions at the end of each chapter. I don't want people to live my rules. These are the 10 little rules I learned, but I want you to start thinking about like your own life and how you can live a more adventurous kind of life. And I don't mean you have to go on this epic tandem bicycle adventure, but even things like changing jobs or moving to a new location or deciding that you want to, try watercolor or whatever it is. Like, what can you do to be a little more adventurous, to be a little more out there, a little less in your shell, a little less afraid to try these new experiences?
What do you love most about your life right now?
There's so many things I love about my life. I think that's a hard one. It'd be easier to tell you what I don't like.
That's no fun.
No, I think the thing that I love most right now is being an author, but the connections that I'm making with other authors and with readers. So I love people and I love connection. And so for me, having people who want to talk about the things that I want to talk about, and then being able to get together and then have these great discussions, that's the best part for me.
That's amazing. What is the best way people can connect with you and follow you and support you?
The easiest thing to do is go to my website, which is my name, Teri M. Brown, 1 R in Terry. There on my website, you can see all my social media handles. Just click the icons. I have a contact page there. I have a newsletter you can sign up for. And like I said, I also have like the YouTube for both Online for Authors and for myself. So you can find me in all those places.
Okay, good. You're fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, 10 Little Rules for a Double-Butted Adventure comes out February 14th. This is Teri Brown. Go to terimbrown.com, and we'll be right back.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Well, hi, everyone. We're back. Let me get all of this situated. There's a lot happening here on these live shows. Do you need a little more inspiration today? My next guest is here to provide it in waves. She is an author and holistic healer with a powerful mission to be the reason why people don't give up, why they believe in themselves, and why they believe in love again. Through her poetry and her healing practice, she empowers souls to tap into their own potential. Please say hello to Anastasia Lindsey.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Do you know what's crazy? No coincidences, right? Teri's interview we recorded in like December. And so, but Anastasia is here live right now. So if you're watching, you have a question for Anastasia, like type it in the comments and we'll chat live. But I'm releasing, we pre-record a bunch of interviews and then we do one live and one recorded. And so I'm just releasing the pre-recorded ones as they're kind of in the queue.
Yeah.
And today was Teri's with you, who randomly picked today. And you both have like very similar like stories. She was talking about waves of authors and I did not do that and then go, oh, well, she should be with Anastasia because her book is called Oceans. Like, how crazy. And she's talking about other like authors using watercolor and art, and you use a ton of other art forms as well.
Yes.
But this isn't my therapy session about why I think this is crazy. I want to talk about your book called Oceans. Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, so I published Ocean in December of 2022. It's my little book of healing is what I like to call it, because I talk about myself, my story in the form of poetry, but I also make it very healing for the reader so that they feel empowered to start their healing journey, no matter where they may be in the world or what they're going through. Like, it's just a little book of healing that's really good for the soul and releasing and starting your healing journey. So I'm really excited for that first book. It really has healed my heart in a lot of ways that I wish I could put into words. And I know that sounds weird because I'm a poet and I use words, but it's just a bigger feeling than sometimes I know what to say.
Is that also, that's a great, like also why you do other art forms? Because you're right. Like sometimes your emotions are too big for words but there are other ways to get them out.
Absolutely. So I really love art and I do watercolor as well. But I take art classes and it's just another way for me to release. And so what I've noticed is that after an art class, I have the words to put into poetry, or I'll write poetry, and that kind of helps me kickstart my creativity with art. And so they really go hand in hand. And I've done art shows now, which I never would have done that. I don't think of myself as like an artist per se, but I love art. And I think that everyone should do art. It's very
Yeah.
healing.
Yes. I worked for an arts and health nonprofit for a long time. And
Oh, yeah.
I had a patient who over and over every day would say, "No, I don't want to go to art class. No, I don't want to go to art class." And I'd
Yeah.
say, "Okay, but I'm going to come in and bother you tomorrow." And he'd go, "Okay, I'm looking forward to it." And one day he finally said, "Fine, Richard, I'll go to art class." And he came to art class, and after he came up to me with tears in his eyes and he said, "I think I'm an artist." And then
Oh,
of course I started crying because that's me.
yes,
And I was like, "You are an artist."
you
But
are.
it is, yeah. And it's not about hanging it up. I mean, you got to do a show, but it's not about that at all. It's about that
No.
process. I always say my art gets hung on the walls of a garbage can because that's where it should be. But I'm okay with that because there's something about pushing paint or listening to music or making music that will change your life.
It really is so true. And I always say too, like, it's about the process. We always say it's about the journey, not the destination. Art and poetry, it's all the same. I even help people write their poems. And they're like, I don't know if I want to post this or share it. I'm like, it's not about that at all.
No,
It's just
yeah,
the act of like creating art or writing that poetry. Like you already did something big. You don't have to share it ever. It could be your little secret.
mm,
If you're gone 100 years, someone might go through your things and be like, wow, this is a beautiful poem. But you don't have to share it. It's not about that. So I love sharing that message.
oh my gosh, that would be such a great idea for your next book. Like title it like "I'm Your Little Secret" or something like that, and
Ooh,
having like poetry prompts that people
yes.
know, or like art prompts.
I
Just
love
saying.
this. Just
Wouldn't that
say
be fun? And it's just for you.
that would be
Yeah.
so fun. Yes, just for you to keep. You don't have to share it. There's no pressure to like make a post about it or see what people think.
Mhm.
It's just for you. Your little
Yeah.
secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Done right here on this show.
Yeah.
Things are happening. Have you, I think I know this answer, but were you always creative growing
Yes,
up?
very
Yeah.
much so. I'm very sensitive as well. I think a lot of creatives tend to be emotional, sensitive creatures. I've met a lot of them, so I don't even think this is a guess anymore. It's like I
Mhm.
know a lot of sensitive, creative people.
Yeah. Yeah. There are so many times, I mean, even talking to you, right? Like that I'll just tear up during the show because I'm like, oh, what people say to me like hits me and I get goosebumps all the
Yeah,
time on this show. And
yeah, I love that. I
yeah.
love it.
Were
Yeah.
you oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. You're good.
No,
I just get
no,
excited.
this is your show. You go, you talk.
I just want to like, celebrate that because I think a lot of people are still shy from expressing their emotions. But like,
Mhm.
even if it's live, even if you're in front of people, anytime you feel moved to have some sort of experience with your emotions, like please experience it. Don't suppress it. That's all I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
Was the rest of your family creative or artistic, or were you the only one?
Not so much. Like my brother, he draws a little bit, but didn't really like do much. And I think my grandmother was artistic, but she passed
Mm,
away when I was in middle school. I think I was 10 or 11. So that was all really the experience I had. I do think it runs in the family in that way, but I'm glad that I can continue this creativity, knowing that my grandmother was and just embodying that. And because she was a soft, sensitive soul as well. So I feel like
mm.
it just kind of got passed down to me.
Yeah. You had mentioned that, if someone like if it moves you to get it out to create,
Yeah.
can you offer maybe something for viewers that are like, "Oh my gosh, I've never thought about that. I need to do something." Like, what is something that they can do today to like express themselves that isn't overwhelming or you don't need $400 in supplies?
Yeah, I always tell people, like, think about what it is that makes you happy. And it doesn't have to be big, because I think when I ask that question, people tend to think, booking a trip to the beach. Well, not everyone can easily and accessibly just book a trip and go to the beach. But like, maybe go find things that remind you of the beach. You
Mm.
could go window shopping. You don't even have to spend money, but just getting yourself out there. And maybe there's like Hobby Lobby. They've got an ocean section. Go to that ocean section and just imagine yourself, painting one of those, or getting art supplies and, duplicating something that you see that reminds you of the beach. And I make it very action oriented, because people like action. Like, if you give them a task, they're more than willing to try it. Sometimes there's some hesitancy because they're not sure if it will work, but some people that really want something to do, they will try that. I'm like, just go see if you can replicate a piece of art that you like that reminds you
Mm.
of the beach. So no, you're not booking a ticket to the beach, but you're still embodying yourself at the beach. Or just go window
Yeah.
shopping. Yeah.
Or just be inspired by the artwork. Don't even try to replicate it, because then you're going to be disappointed when it's not, like,
Yeah,
just be
you don't have
inspired by it.
just be
Yeah.
inspired by it, and maybe think about what that artist was thinking and feeling when they created that. Or even the little trinkets, like, what was this artist thinking when they made this little turtle keychain? Like, really get deep and reflective. And just like I always say, it's about being introspective. So when you're going through that little situation, like, how does this make me feel? I wonder how it made the artist feel. I wonder what their inspiration was.
Mm.
How am I feeling inspired? And then it just makes it to where you're thinking about yourself too, and bringing up how you feel instead of like avoiding it completely.
Oh my God, I love that. I know that clearly you work with people to help them to bring this out of them. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you do, and how you do it, and how people can connect with you?
Yeah, so I would say now I do more of it more poetry focused. So I use a lot of my words. I am certified in hypnosis. So a lot of sessions that I did for hypnosis, I use the power of poetry through there, where I use a lot of metaphors and I speak very gently, very quietly, very softly. A lot of people I've learned are not tough love people. I'm not a tough love
Mm.
person. If someone gives me tough love, I shut down immediately. So I bring gentleness to people, I bring calm to people, because sometimes we just need love to push us. So I bring love to my poetry, to my healing sessions. When we meditate, I let them know that they're loved and that I'm thinking of them, that I want the best for them. But I really put the control in their hands too, to let them know that, like, if something were to happen to me or anything, you will still be okay. You can still do this. So I try to make it very impactful and powerful, showing them that they're in control. Journaling prompts, exercises, reading. I'll give them poetry to just read and journal how that poem made you feel, and then come back and let's talk about it, because sometimes poetry can say a lot about a person that they didn't even know, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Some of the things
Yeah.
that they bring back to me, they're like, that poem almost made me feel terrified, whereas I don't get that from a poem. And then it's like, well, what part of that makes you scared? And then all of these fears start unraveling, and then we can start from there. It's so crazy.
Oh my gosh. What is the best way that people can connect with you?
I would say Instagram. On
Okay.
Instagram a lot. That's where I share a lot of my poetry. That's where I start to share a lot of spoken word. So Instagram is Anna Marie Poetry, ANA Marie Poetry. But I also have a website, and that's summersolacehealing.com. If you just kind of want to get a generalized idea of the things I do and some of the things that I offer.
Oh, I love that. I want to go back to the book Ocean, available wherever you get your books. I know it's been a little while since it's been released. Are you working on anything else?
Yeah, so yeah, Ocean was in 2022, and then I just published
Oh
Wildfire.
my gosh. How do
Yeah,
I not know this?
it's just, I think I'm just on 2 weeks today
Wow.
that it's been released. So it's very, very new. It's completely opposite than Ocean. A lot of my followers were requesting spicy poetry. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm rather reserved and quiet. I'm not against it. I just don't know how I feel about it. But I kept getting more and more questions like that. And I was like, what's going on out there in the world? Are they, like for everyone to be saying that or asking me, I was like, okay, I'm going to dabble in it. I'm going to try. So the difference with wildfire is that they are spicy, steamy poetry, but it's very gentle and kind because I think you have an idea of me now that that's just how I operate. And so I don't use any vulgar language. I don't use any violence. I don't use any extreme scenarios that might be triggering because a lot of my followers and clients have a troubled past. So I had to find a bridge to where I could still write spicy poetry and it honor people's healing journey. So then I kind of blended the two together. And that's how Wildfire was birthed.
And is that available? I'm assuming both books are available wherever you get your
They
books.
sure are, yeah.
Okay, good. I love that. It's not a game, but will you play a little like game-ish thing with me
Yes.
before we leave? Okay, it's called Fave Rave.
Okay.
And I'm going to need you to pick a number between 1 and 10.
1 and 10. Let's do 4.
4. Okay. So in here are a bunch of categories, and you're going to give me your favorite thing in these categories.
Okay.
The next 4 things I pull out of here.
Okay.
Your favorite type of weather.
I would say spring. Yeah, I love spring. It's my birthday's April 4th, so I always choose number 4. But I also just love, like, you see the rebirth coming back. It brings life back into my soul. I like fall, but if I had to choose, it would definitely be spring. Spring just warms my heart.
Yeah, where do you live? Do you have a nice?
I'm in Illinois, so we experience all of the seasons here.
Yes. I'm from Wisconsin, so you're still in the middle of winter, so you have a little bit further until spring.
And it's only going to get colder next week, I hear.
I'm so not used to that weather now that it's supposed to be 50 here in South Carolina today, and I'm like, oh, so cold. Like that's summer in Wisconsin.
Right.
Okay. Your favorite article of clothing?
Oh, I would say cardigans, sweaters. I love oversized anything that I can just wrap around myself.
Yes, I had to take a cardigan off to put this on before the show today. I love cardigans.
Yes.
Your favorite cereal?
Oh, I would say Honey Nut Cheerios, and then I sprinkle just a little bit of sugar on top.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, final question. Your favorite advice you've given?
Oh, okay. So I normally don't give advice, but hear me out. I did one time, and it landed me my current fiance. So
it was, you should marry me.
It was a Facebook group for positivity, like uplifting, and he had made a post looking for advice, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. I don't like to give advice because I would hate to steer the person wrong. We all have different experiences, so even something that worked for me may not work for others. So I'm light with the advice part. I can give you what I think, but I was like, okay, I feel really called to give him advice. So I'm just going to write it out. We don't know each other. Okay, so be it. So I type it out, hit send, and he says, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and we go our separate ways. And then about 3 months later, I thought about him randomly. I was like, I wonder how that guy's doing, or if he took my advice. I was just really curious. So I found the post. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, how'd things go with your situation? And that was our story. We never stopped talking after that. And now we're living together, and we get married in 3 months.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, fun. What a story. That also a book.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yes, that needs to be a movie. That's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. It's been so fun talking to you.
Oh, it's been fun. Thank you. I really appreciate it today.
My final question for you is, what do you love most about you?
I would say I love how free I feel and how peaceful I just experience life right now. Even when things don't go right, I feel like a sense of peace. I mean, even just a couple of years ago, I was in a really bad place, like mentally. If you could just see all the weight I had on my shoulders, like visibly, like you would wonder how I was carrying it all. And I wasn't happy, I wasn't peaceful, I was living like with disruption. But now I'm happy with my life because I feel like I can breathe. Like I just feel peaceful and calm. And even when things don't go right, I'm just like, it's okay. Like I'm just happy. I just feel good.
See, it's one of those tear moments for me when my eyes get all watery. Oh, I'm so happy for you, and I'm so thankful that you're putting your story out there and helping so many people. I really appreciate the work you're doing.
I really appreciate it. That means a lot.
Yeah, have a great weekend. Have a great Valentine's Day, and thanks for spending the morning with me.
I appreciate it. It was very wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll take a break and be right back after this. Don't go away.
Listen, everyone needs a co-conspirator to reimagine their lives and uncover the opportunities in the challenges they face. If you are looking for the place where hope meets possibility and you are ready to create a life of meaning despite the diagnosis, look no further. Helen is a certified professional coach with a background in medical research and an autoimmune diagnosis who brings compassion, empathy, and your best interests to every conversation. Learn more about coaching with Helen at helensampsonmullen.com.
Oh, we're back, everybody. What a fun day. What a wonderful Valentine's Day. Also, listen, if you don't know what to get your Valentine yet, I'm just saying that this thermos mug, I've been using this thermos mug for like 10, maybe 15 years. I've gone through 3 of them, which I think that's a pretty good lifespan. And I just got this new one in this really good green color. And this one has a handle. And it wasn't a Valentine's Day present. I just bought it for myself because I needed a new one. And I'm kind of in love with it. So if you need one, go to our store, makeyourdayricher.com/shop, and go buy this for yourself or for someone you love because it's amazing. All right. Also, I just want to say that both Teri and Anastasia have so nicely given a copy of their book to everybody in the studio. All of those people are clapping for their free book. So thank you to both of them. I love when the guests do that. There's so many people here, and I love when they do that. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. We will see you on Monday with an all-new episode. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.